I've had premonitions about people I love passing away before it happened since I was a teenager. I lived in multiple houses before I graduated. So at this time, I was with my grandmother, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a dream. Let's get weird. And welcome to the Heather Show. Had to up my game after the tripod got possessed by the spirit of the Holy Ghost. So you're going to notice I got a couple of new additions here. She's here, that's here, Xavier's in the back, and just to show you, he's here with his own free will. That's he's he's got a sock. He's got a sock. I socked it to him. And in the dream, something blue that was rectangular went over something red that was rectangular. I picked up a phone and I called who was my best friend at the time. And I said, are you all right? And she said, no. And I said, I just heard. And she said, okay. And I said, I'm on my way. And then I woke up having the worst panic attack I ever had to that date, because I've had worse now, but something didn't feel right. It felt different than the normal fears and the normal ones and the normal insomnia that I was used to. This one hit different. And I didn't like that dream. And I instantly knew somebody that I cared about passed away. And I felt like it was a car accident. So at the time, I was seeing somebody that lived a good distance away that liked to listen to loud music. And my living situation wasn't the greatest, so I did not like to be inside the house and I wanted to leave. And it was pretty early in the morning. And I remember I was like a caged animal, just pacing back and forth and back and forth, and just I couldn't calm down. So I called and texted this person at a what most people would consider reasonable hour, because I get up at when it's still dark out, not by choice, and asked them to come get me. And they said no problem. And I waited. And as I was waiting, I could not shake this feeling that something happened and that somebody died in a car accident. So I must have left 10 messages saying, call me back. I feel like you got in a car accident. Just call me back. I need to know that you're okay. Just call me back. Phone rings. And my grandmother went and got it. And I heard her say, I'll tell her. She hung up the phone and she said, Heather, I have some very bad news. And I looked her in the eye and I said, my friend died in a car accident this morning. She said, did somebody already tell you? I said, no, but I dreamt about it. And I had already known who it was, so I picked up that phone and I called my best friend at the time and said, are you okay? And she said, no. And I said, I just heard. And she said, okay. And I said, I'll be right there. So I had a witness. Fast forward now, I'm an adult, married, house, kid, sleeping one night, and I have another dream. And in this dream, I'm driving down a road in real life that I drove down every day to go to work. And I'm driving by the Church of St. Teresa. But the way that the dream happened was I opened my eyes and there was a car stopped in front of me. And I knew I was about to hit that car. I knew no matter how much I pressed on that brake pedal, I was not going to be able to stop. And I was going into that car right in front of the Church of St. Teresa because I recognized the road. And then I woke up and I went to work and I drive down that road. So I get to the Church of St. Teresa and the image hits in my head and I start thinking of this guy, Ed. And Ed was my godfather's brother. And my godfather's brother passed away years ago. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it being related to some kind of a blood clot. But I know he called me from the hospital when he was dying to say goodbye. And he popped into my head, and I was remembering that. And I wondered if he was going down his phone, calling everybody that he knew to say goodbye, and what you would do if you knew that that was your time was coming that close. Shortly after he passed, my godfather called me, said he needed to talk to me, and came over. And he asked me if spirits could touch you, hurt you. And I said, from what I've been told, if you believe they can. And that is the power of belief. If I believe I'm stronger than them, then that means I can kick their butt, right? So I asked why. And he said he was showering and it felt like he got bum rushed, slammed into a wall, like his brother used to do. And he had found out later that that had happened around the same moment that his brother had passed in the hospital. So he came to me to ask if I believed that his brother could beat him up a little on the way out. And I said, absolutely. And I believe Ed would do it. So I don't know how much of a believer he was before that, because in my family, we grew up knowing that these things existed. My uncle had a haunted house for a while. I have a picture where I look absolutely terrified because we all slept over that house, and I was the girl already that was telling people I could see and sense spirit, and the spirit that was in his house used to do things like turn the TV off, put the shades up. He was buried in the backyard, and his tombstone was broken. They had a seance in the house. He said he didn't want to put it back together. He believed the spirit of his wife was still in that house, and he was staying there until he found her. I don't know whatever happened to the spirit. I remember sleeping over in my head going, go to the light, that's where she is. So maybe he went. Maybe he didn't hear me. But maybe he did. How was I just talking about? And that's called a tangent in ADHD. So I'm driving down the road past the Church of St. Teresa, thinking about all this stuff, thinking about Ed, thinking about the conversations I had with Tom. When I passed that church, I made sure I had a lot of space between me and other cars. So if it was a premonition that I was going to get in an accident, I was going to make sure, to be extra careful. And I went to work that day. And on purpose, I was not looking at my social media because it was my grandmother who had passed away his first birthday in heaven. And I knew certain family members were going to be posting pictures, and I knew it was going to make me emotional. So I had worked in a fast-paced construction company and just kept my phone, upside down all day, didn't look at it, and really just kind of dug into work, as most people that go through grief can understand, because we all have our own coping. And sometimes coping means just forgetting for a little bit. So I was at work, and in construction, especially when they put you on salary, you never leave on time. Nobody walks out at 5 o'clock. It's almost taboo to walk out at 5 o'clock, which is disgusting. But at 5 o'clock, I got a text message from a family member, and it said, Facebook is saying that Tom died. Fun fact, when I get emotional, she notices. So she was just crying outside the door, and I had to let her in so she could be my emotional support cat. I had a dream about her before she showed up in my life. Another story for another day. So I get a text message at 5 o'clock on the dot that says, social media is saying my godfather died. So I'm sitting at my desk, trying to hold it together, a little bit in shock. I do what most people would do and go right to social media. First thing that pops up is a picture of my grandmother. And the second thing that pops up are rest in peace. I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. Rest in peace comments citing his name. I can't believe Tom's going all this stuff. I'm gonna have to kick this cat out in a minute. I never turned the fan off. I never turned the fan off, and I'm supposed to turn the fan off. Okay, 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 okay. So you gotta get out. So I tried to hold it together and I left work. And I had to drive down the same road and I had to drive past the same church of St. Teresa. And I'm thinking about the way that it played out because now this is the second time that it happened to me. Ed came to me. That's what happened. Ed came to me to let me know he was going to be taking my godfather. I thought I'd be able to get through this without getting emotional because it's been years. It happens. It's an emotional release. Release is good. Release is good. So I had a dream about the car accident. And then his brother came to my subconscious to remind me what happened when he passed so I could get through losing another one. Having faith in the afterlife won't stop you from having grief here on earth. And grief is the hardest thing you'll ever go through. When I was still in the middle of the grief, the worst part, because grief doesn't end, it just changes. So the worst part when I was crying out, saying, "How dare you go? I wasn't done with you yet." Selfish. His life path was done here. And it was there to remind me that they're still going to be living. Not only are they still going to be living, they're still kind of going to be buttheads. So Tom started coming to me in dreams. I don't remember how many years later. First, he showed up like a tomcat, which was funny because Tom had a reputation of kind of disappearing for a while, but he would always come back like a tomcat. You know, the cat came back. I don't own the rights to that song. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Probably not. But the next time I dreamt about him, I was walking down a hillside of city blocks with sidewalks with a co-worker in real life that I had. And he was standing there on the street corner. And I got so excited to see him. And I looked at my friend and I went, "Hey, this is my godfather. He's dead." And I gave him a big hug and I felt that hug. Now, when you physically feel in your dreams, that's them. That's them coming through. That's a visit. That's the difference between a dream and a visit. I felt that hug. Then he helped unlock one of my psychic senses because I sat up here one day. It's kind of my safe space. And I was thinking about him. And when you sit up here and someone's cooking in the kitchen, you can smell it. So all of a sudden I started to smell pizza. Pizza, like so strong pizza. And I thought to myself, I was having a bad day. It was shortly after he passed. And I thought, oh, my husband must have ordered us pizza, took care of dinner. That's fantastic. How nice of him. I'm starving. And I got up and I start walking downstairs. And I'm on the staircase and I'm walking down it. And he's sitting on the couch. And I said, "Did you order pizza?" And he said, "No." And I turned to the left because that's where I have a cabinet and I have a seashell from him that was given to me after he passed that he had found and he had picked out. So it was special. And I looked at the seashell and this memory hit me. When I was a teenager, he was a pizza delivery guy. And he got me a job working at that restaurant. So we both worked at this pizza place together. I was a waitress in the back, and he was a delivery guy until eventually, I don't know, he got fired, quit. I don't remember exactly what happened. He didn't really hold down jobs well. He made a lot of bad decisions in his life. Bad decisions. Like he used to let me drive his car home when I was like 14 from work. So the smell of the pizza was really relatable. I look at the seashell and all the memories of the restaurant flood back, and that's when I knew he was there and giving me a sign. So when I smell pizza and it's not there, it's a sign that my godfather is around me, which is really messed up because sometimes I just want to eat some pizza. It's really early in the morning now. It's not even 8 a.m. But wait a minute. We had pizza last night, which means I have leftover pizza.